So that's pretty much as easy as this stuff is, so the other one shouldn't be that frickin' hard. Would nah.
Would nah.
Do you mind? I'm busy doing the fish stick. Oh, I'm so happy for you. My, what a burden to have carried. But you've done it. You've conquered your own inner demons. Bravo. You didn't mean yourself. You meant Pelagius. Well, same congratulations apply. Just, you know, for what you did for the insane emperor. Conquering paranoia should be a snap after that ordeal.
Conquering paranoia. Alright, let's go see if this is reset now. Doesn't sound like it. Damn it. Maybe it's not everything. That is different. Oh. Damn it. Come on, don't get stuck there again. Good. I think you just let him duke it out here. I think there's a specific thing you have to look for. And I think it's that, if you notice there's like that dark mass kind of following it. I think that's what you have to look for. That's the one that's going to be able to be killed. So there's kind of like a dark mass down there around it. You also know because this one won't change. This one doesn't change after you change yours. Or after you change this one, the other one, then you know that you're supposed to stay there. Damn. Come on, kill it. Let's go. Why the hell is it getting healed? bloody annoying. So I should just wait for it to die or something? Alright, we have to switch to a different type now. It starts healing. I think that's it. Look up and see what the hell they're supposed to do here, because obviously this isn't working either. And I forgot that actually the network's down right now, as they're upgrading it to DOCSIS 3. It's going to be down until 6 AM after the recording now, so I guess we'll just have to muddle through this and figure it out.
You'd never figure it out!
Duh.
With the threat gone, Pelagius is under the delusion that he's safe, which means you've helped him out. Sir, and we're that much closer to home.
Yes, it was that simple. I began to wonder, because I kind of remembered in the back of my head it was something really stupid. And there you have it. I think there's more dialogue to be had with Shiogoro.
I'm busy doing the fish stick. It's a very delicate... Fix is such a subjective term. I think treating is far more appropriate, don't you? Like one does to a rash, or an arrow in the face. Ah, but no matter. Heartless mortal that you are, you've actually succeeded and survived. I am first to honor my end of the bargain. So, congratulations. You're free to go. Bye! There have been no to change my mind. So, go. Really. Pelagius Septim III, once the mad Emperor of Tamriel, now so boringly sane. I always knew he had it in him. Well, I suppose it's back to the Shivering Isles. The trouble Haskell can get into while I'm gone simply boggles the mind. Let's make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Clothes, check. Beard, check. Luggage. Luggage. Now, where did I leave my luggage?
Master, you've taken me back. Does this mean we're going home? Oh, happy times. I can't wait to...
Yes, that's quite enough celebration. Let's send you ahead, shall we? As for you, a little mortal minion, feel free to keep the Wabbajack as a symbol of my... just take the damn thing. You take care of yourself now. And if you ever find yourself up in New Sheo, do look me up. We can share a strawberry tart. Ha! Ta-ta!
Yep, that's that whole quest. Not particularly long, but you do get an awesome weapon, the Wabbajack. Let's see, where the hell do we go? Oh, here we go. This door here. Maybe Elisif will be out here now. Let's wait some amount of time here. There's Elisif.
Please address all questions to the steward, Folk Firebeard. My duty is to keep the Jarl safe, not play nursemaid to you sycophants.
If you have business, please see Folk Firebeard, my steward. With the passing of my dear husband Torrig, the weighty position of Jarl has fallen to me. Please direct questions to my steward. Because that's what traitorous cowards do when they desire power. Ulfric coveted the High King's throne. He thought he deserved it more than Torrig. And so he came before my husband and he shouted with that terrible voice, like something out of a legend or a nightmare. When Ulfric unleashed such fury, my husband, he simply ceased to be. That is all I will say, for it grieves me to speak of it. Not yet, no. Although it is true my husband Torrig was the High King, and I am his widow. Now is not the time to lay claim to such a title. This land is riven by war, and her people suffer for it. The Stormcloaks are a blight on Skyrim, and like any blight, must be purged. Only then will I take my rightful place as High Queen. A question I am all too familiar with. One my very thanes ask often. They worry that Tullius is so focused on the war that he risks forgetting what's best for our people. The real irony is that, while General Tullius is certainly no Nord, the people of Skyrim would be lost without him. Trust is always difficult, especially for my people. Yet we must trust in Tullius's leadership. For what other choice do we have? Be well. Pray for solitude and my husband.
I can always find time to share a word with a warrior. Many condemn the Stormcloaks, but I refuse.
It's you. You've been the talk of the town.
Why is that?
Let me know if you want to get anything off your chest. Well met. You ever notice that Katla and Greta wear the exact same clothes, and the exact same hat, and the exact same face? And you never see them in the same room together. All I'm saying is, their husbands need to have a talk. Atta is a menacing one, isn't he? I suppose it's part of the job description. Men like that are typically kittens behind closed doors. Now Yorn is a different story altogether. He reminds me of the sort of man whose wife disappears mysteriously and all his neighbors neighbors are just shocked that he would be a suspect. According to Ildi, her and the Skeever Bard have a bit of a rivalry going on, although a rivalry typically requires two willing combatants. I'm afraid the Breton doesn't even know Ildi exists. Who would? The way she refuses to socialize with anyone. Aya never used to cover her hair. Thank Debella she does now. Her locks and her makeup were telling two different stories, and both of them awful.
Any more rumors?
Octiev-san saw the face of one of the 8 at the Skeever again. Today it was the face of Julianos in his suit. Yesterday it was Debella's figure on a towel stain. The day before that he saw Stendar's visage on a piece of mouldy bread. Roland refuses to dignify Octiev's claims with a response, as he believes they're part of a scheme to pay off his gambling debts. But Solana is such a trusting young woman. She doesn't see that her pity only serves to reinforce his behavior. One of these days, Octiev is going to ask Solana to inspect the stain of Akatosh on his undergarments. And maybe then she'll draw a line. Ever notice how pale the court mage is? I know Sybil never leaves the palace during the day. Until itself is quite strange. And it gets stranger. She never eats. And some of the servants have reported odd noises emanating from her quarters in the dead of night. Given her penchant for hunting vampires, some of the servants think we may be dealing with a werewolf. Not that I believe anything of the sort. Daria has put on quite a bit of weight in the past month. It's no wonder she's so bitter, especially when Taria looks so fabulous. For one, I'm an excellent listener. People are willing to divulge things to me without even taking into account whether I can provide sage advice. Second, I'm delightful to speak with. Not only do I have interesting rumors to share, but I can relate them in ways that spark your imagination. For instance, if I were to tell you Elsie trusts Falk Firebeard with everything, you would likely nod your head and praise the steward. Then we'd begin to dwell on the awkward silence that followed, and proceed to start hating each other and ourselves for not being more interesting. Now, if I were to tell you that Jarl Elsie trusts Falk Firebeard with everything, and perhaps curl my lips into a smile, I imagine you would have little difficulty formulating a reply.
What is that?
That still implies that gossip itself is a negative, akin to a paper cut or a particularly vexing housefly. However, I believe it ties the community together. The more we know about each other, the more intimate our relationships. Gossip is inclusive. It allows outsiders such as yourself to easily join the conversation. Spend an hour with me, and you'll know everything about everyone, and truly feel like one of the locals. Fine, then I will speak with someone who appreciates what I have to say instead of belittling it. As a court attendant, I mostly deal with acquiring clothes, silverware, and other accessories from merchants, both local and overseas. The Blue Palace cannot have its residents dressed like common rubes. And by rubes, I mean the lesser nobles that inhabit the other holds. Unfortunately, much of the clothing I had recently shipped in by the East Empire Company was deemed too impractical given Skyrim's frigid weather. You should have seen the quality of lace I had brought in from the Somerset Isle. Silks and linens embroidered with silver and gold. Nothing like these peasant bodices the Nords wear. They were garments truly fit for the divine race. It's rather difficult to feel like oneself, let alone a divine wearing these thick coats and furs. I suppose I will have to make my face all the more stunning to compensate. Indeed, they asked me what I saw, and I told them what I heard. Ulfric Stormcloak shouting King Torrig to pieces! And I do mean that literally. From what I understand, there were chunks of the High King all over the walls of the throne. Poor Borgir Bearclaw had to spend all night scraping what was left of the High King, whilst Elisif wept in her chambers. General Tullius, meanwhile, was screaming at Aldis for letting Ulfric escape. Naturally, Aldis made Rogvir a scapegoat for his own ineptitude. Which is laughable. Rogvir couldn't even find his own bottom, let alone an escape route past the castle guard. According to my sources, the only person to leave the castle was an Argonian male who took the carriage by the stables later that night. Alone, this would mean little. But consider this. When Ulfric shouted Torrig to death, some claim his skin burst open to reveal a pattern of scales.
Hell.
Not the scales of an Argonian, but that of a dragon. As much as a Khajiit is a cat, a Dunmer is a Daedra, and a wood elf is a tree. So yes, that's exactly what he is. Well, it was rather tragic what Ulfric did to Torrig, but not nearly as tragic as the prehistoric cave garments with which he dresses his generals. The uniforms of his lower-ranked soldiers are bad enough, given their redundancy. But I mean really, a bear's head. I know third-era fashion is all the rage these days, but I think you have to go back a couple of millennia to find a time when animal heads were stylish. If Elisif mourned anything, it was the death of good taste under Stormcloak rule. But I suspect her husband was important too. Well, I can't say all this melancholy has been good for her complexion, but she's still quite fetching. You may not be aware of this, but it requires a great deal of work to live up to the moniker Elisif the Fair. The last thing a lady wants is to have that name said in jest.
Jesus Christ.
Until next time.
Watch your feet. We just cleaned there.
Well, too bad.
Thane Bryling, at your service.
The Imperials are good for business, and business is good for Sky. Bryling's obsession with honor and tradition is quaint, but politically irrelevant. Oh, most certainly. At least when Elisif herself asks. If you're inquiring whether we have concerns about her age and inexperience, let me put it this way. The Thanes have every confidence in General Tullius's leadership. I must return to the court. I simply can't make do without me.
Everyone knows General Tullius wields the real power in Solitude. Elisif? Yeah, she's a figurehead, a puppet.
And the
I can
voices would
always find
sound
time to share a word with a warrior.
what everyone is singing.
I
Sweet.
understand what's just for Solitude, and Jarl Elisif knows it.
Oh, hello. Maybe you need a partner, hmm? Just picture it. 2 women, the dusty road, strapping men in every tavern, a fortune in gold to be claimed.
Yeah, just thinking.
Have you come to visit the High Wind? Well, get in line. I've been waiting for weeks on account of that clumsy oaf of an executioner. So you have seen it too. You were lucky then. Not that it would have mattered much with that brutish outfit you're wearing. The execution I witnessed was nothing short of a note to incompetence. It took 2 cuts to slice off the head. The first cut being so poor it squirted blood all over a couple of elven dignitaries standing up front. I offered my handkerchief to the lady, as is custom, but instead she reached for my cloak and wiped the blood all over the fur. Darn root oil. 5 souls. Are you trying to wash my cloak or light it on fire? This is why I will not trust its fate to some berry picker. One of my ancestors strangled a bear to death with his bare hands to get this fur, and it's been passed down from father to son ever since. That's the problem with you beggars and rubes. You don't know how to behave. You lack the stock. That's why you have no business in a place like the Blue Palace. It's no wonder I can't get an audience with the High Queen, with all you commoners hoarding her time. Of course, it's a fault for letting you win. In fact, maybe I ought to pay the Jarl of Windhelm a visit. I hear he actually has standards. Greetings. You mean you haven't heard it already? Didn't your mother ever read you the story as a child? It's only the most famous Nord tale in all of Skyrim. Let's see. It happened in a cave somewhere in Hivestad, I believe. It was winter, I think. What am I saying? Of course it was winter. Every good Nord story happens in winter. Now, where was I? All right. There was once this bear who lived in Old Pine Pig Cavern named Gruff. Not just any bear, mind you. He was as tall as a giant, with paws the size of a wagon. He was a surly. The Jarl sent a bunch of men in after him. Soldiers, adventurers, companions. But the lowborns died without much of a fuss. That's when my great ancestor, Gartheim Hokard, came along on a pilgrimage to High Hrothgar. When he heard about the bear trouble, he decided to help. Of course, the locals were skeptical. Gartheim didn't carry any bear traps or poisons, or even a weapon with him. All he had was the hands that gods gave him, and his noble blood. It has everything to do with it. Gartheim wasn't raised to use lowborn tactics. He met Gruff in the caveman to beast. The old bear respected that. No, respect is the wrong word. He feared him. They say when Gartheim entered that cave, all of Sovngarde stopped to watch. Even Olaf One-Eye put down his flagon to take a gander. Gruff stood in his hind legs and let out a roar that shook High Hrothgar. Might have caused an avalanche. That's how loud it was. Anyways, where was I? Oh, right. My ancestor Gartheim